guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. I am going to be doing a video today that is a little different, if you guys couldn't tell by the intro. It's definitely different for my channel, but it's something that I've wanted to do for quite a long time. So I really hope you guys enjoy it. And yeah, let's get on into the scary stories with Small Town Dives. Just a little disclaimer before I get into these stories. These are all stories that were posted to Reddit No Sleep. These are not stories that I wrote myself. All of these writers are amazing and have amazing talent, and you guys should definitely check out their stories on redditnosleep.com. This first story is called My Ex and I Took Our Kids for Photos with Santa. That was a mistake. When the divorce was finalized, one thing my ex-wife and I always agreed upon was that we didn't want to make anything harder on the kids just because we were having problems. Since this is the first Christmas that we haven't been together as a family, we decided to stick to a few basic routines, such as making gingerbread houses and pictures of Santa. That's actually what led us to the Eastwood Mall last Saturday. They had a class in building old school gingerbread houses and making Christmas cookies. Cool. And also standing in line for some guy in an overstuffed Claus costume. Things started out simply enough. Both Thea and LaDawn were agreeable to the wait. But then someone in Santa's lap started bawling, and it seemed like it threw everyone in the workshop line for a loop. This gave me a chance to be nosy and get a better look at the employee who was cosplaying as the jolly old elf. And that's when I noticed a few things that seemed odd. For one thing, this dude was old. Like older than dirt, with an extremely wrinkled face where your skin sticks to your bones. His suit wasn't too nice either. In fact, I'm betting it probably hadn't been washed in months. There were a few stains and tatters on his boots and belt, too. Everything about him screamed drunk or whack job. And I wondered if he was some sort of sexual molester. Did this mall do background checks on people? And if so, were they even thorough? We got closer to the front of the line, and I decided to casually voice my concerns. I don't like how he treated that kid, Carly. Maybe we should just stop by Walmart and do the pictures there. Allison, we're already here, and it's only going to take a few more minutes, and if the guy's a creep, we can always sue them all, she said with an eye roll. I wanted to point out that my main concern was traumatizing our girls if he groped them or something. But before I knew it, Thea had jumped up to take her turn. Hello there, little girl. What's your name? Santa Claus asked. He sounded like a heavy smoker. Thea, she said softly and sheepishly. And have you been naughty or nice this year? Mostly nice, Thea said with a mischievous smile. Santa gave a loud booming ho 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 and smacked his knee. And that made me reconsider my initial theory. Maybe this was a guy just trying to rekindle a little Christmas magic. Maybe it was the mall's fault for not giving him a clean suit. I had heard about this place had trouble before with keeping people in the job. What do you want for Christmas, Thea? Santa asked. I was checking the photographer, making sure to get the angles we wanted, and then glanced over to see Carly on her phone. Really? You promised? She sighed and rolled her eyes. Look, this is an important business call, she said, brushing me off. That only made me madder. You promised this would be about us, I snapped. That made her twirl around and decide to cause a scene. Don't go there, Allie. Or should I tell Santa about you stepping out on us last spring? She spewed back maliciously. It made me red in the face as a few shoppers had caught sight of our argument, so I turned back to check on the girls, only to see they weren't there anymore. As usual, cat got your tongue? Carly jeered. Where are the kids? I muttered. That caught her attention, and both of us looked towards Santa. Hey, Nick. Be a saint and point us to where the kids ran off to, I told the costumed employee. His sunken eyes gleamed mischievously, and he replied with his usual shtick. Hello there, and what's your name, little girl? But I was too tired for game, so I got right in his face and growled, Listen, hon, I ain't the one. My kids were the last ones you took pictures with, so jog your memory and help us out, or I will see to it your manager stuffs your pockets full of coal. Santa chuckled with his ho 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 and then gestured towards a play area not far from the workshop. Much to my relief, I saw the girls playing amongst the candy cane and snowmen inflatables. Told you we need to keep an eye on them, Carly told me as we sat on the bench. Once again, she was on her phone, but I didn't bother with another argument. Instead, I focused on the elves that were running amidst the playground with Thea and Dawn. They couldn't possibly have been taller than 3 or 4 feet, and as I watched more closely, I realized that these were actual little people. How demeaning that the mall is making them do this and take advantage of their short stature, I said out loud. One of them looked towards me and winked before tagging my oldest and running into a gingerbread tunnel. Dawn wasn't far behind, and soon they all disappeared from sight into the maze of the play place. I checked my smartwatch and then remembered I had to take them for a haircut. We should probably get going, I told Carly. Right. Guess I will see you tomorrow around 3:30 so we can finish that stuff over at your dad's? She asked, as she still texted away. Sure, I said. Once she was gone, I whistled for the girls to come out, but there was no response. Standing up and thinking they hadn't heard me, I shouted their names. All I heard this time were the giggles from the elves. I stepped into the play place and this time chided my girls using their full names to get their attention. They knew I meant business, but they still remained silent. And now the entire place seemed eerily quiet. Where have they gone? Instinctively, I was panicking and moving amid the reindeer dolls and Elsa mock-ups. I couldn't find them anywhere, no matter how deep I went. Then I realized that the seemingly small playground was a lot larger than I had ever expected. Finally, though, I came to a small, midget-sized hole. I heard a scream from below. Thea. Hold on, baby, I'm coming, I said as I tried to dig at the ground, but it was impossible. Then from the midst of darkness, an elf popped out and startled me. This wasn't some friendly mall worker. This thing looked like a demonic dwarf with swollen red eyes and gnarled teeth. The strange little creature started to nip at me, and I gasped in shock, kicking it away. Immediately, I left the playground and marched to Santa's workshop. Somehow, hours had passed, and it was very late. The mall was getting ready to close. I spotted a security guard and grabbed his arm. Please, sir, my daughters. They've been taken, I told him frantically. Calm down, ma'am. What's going on? Where were they taken? He asked. I turned to gesture towards the strange Christmas wonderland and felt my heart drop. Everything I had just seen, the snowmen, the giant candy canes, even Santa's workshop, it was all gone. I really, really hope you guys enjoyed that story. This one gave me chills. I read it and oh my goodness. It's a spooky little story. It starts off so, just normal, taking your kids to the mall, and it ends up being something so much worse. So I will link this author's page in the description down below. Please make sure you guys go and check it out. Okay, guys, the second and final story that I wanted to read to you guys today is called This Holiday Season is the Anniversary of the Most Terrifying Night of My Life. Must have been about 5 years now since I experienced the most terrifying night of my life, one that would haunt the very core of my soul to this day. It was a cold winter's night in the middle of December. My ears ached from what had started to feel like frostbite. The sound of crunching leaves under my feet, combined with the feeling of looming loneliness, caused me to wander unexpectedly. After snapping out of my frigid trance, I was greeted by a fork in my path with a sign in the middle. It read as follows: Happy holidays to you. To those who are good, we offer this gift. To receive our blessing, you must follow these set of rules exactly. 1. Choose your path wisely. 2. Do not stray from the path. Most important. 3. Attempt not any cries for help. 4. Kindness can sometimes be cruel. Do not give anyone anything. 5. Trust only your guide. A passcode between the two of you will be provided to verify identity. 6. Protect the children at all costs. Follow these rules unless you've been met with misfortune most unkind. As I stared at the list of rules, I struggled to believe their legitimacy. At this point, I was contemplating just walking away and retracing my steps through the snow hellscape. Thinking back on it now, every fiber in my being wishes I did. Instead, my body took a step forward, and as I did, I heard shouting coming from behind me. I whipped around and tuned in the direction of the screams. By the third shout, I could make out that the person was screaming for me to wait. Mind you, it was hard to see that far due to the constant snowfall. So I waited for about another 30 seconds before the blurry image of a human silhouette came into view. As they came closer, I could see it was an older woman, early 50s. Her silver gray hair shined as the snow met its roots. Around her neck was a scarf with a beautiful design etched along its fabric, coupled with a large fur coat and some Ugg boots. I'm sure the boots were from a Christmas gift from her grandchild of hers. Hey, are you okay? I said, noticing her clear shortness of breath. Don't worry about me, little miss. These old bones just don't move like they used to, is all. I dreaded the thought of being late and you ending up going down the wrong path. I'm overjoyed to have caught up with you, she said, seeming relieved. My name is Irene. I will be your guide tonight, little miss. Nice to meet you, Miss Irene. I'm Asia. Asia, such a beautiful name. It suits you, Irene said. Thank you, I replied warmly. And please, just Irene is fine. The miss makes me feel old. It felt weird not addressing her formally, since Irene was much older than I, and we were indeed strangers, but I obliged. Irene, look, I'm just trying to get home, and I'm not too sure about all this receive a gift business. The blizzard is getting stronger. I don't mean to sound rude, but you should get going as well, I said between chattering teeth. At this point, I realized that beyond this lady's lack of breath, she didn't seem to be bothered by the cold. I shrugged it off to her just being warm under all those fancy clothes. Asia, my job as your guide is to get you home safely. Please do not become alarmed by anything I say and make sure to follow my instructions exactly. I've been doing this job for 20 years. Every Christmas, I guide people like you through this blizzard. For starters, you are lost at the moment, and taking any wrong turns or missteps will result in you being lost forever. Wait a second. I'm not sure if this is one of those game shows where people win money for doing incredibly dangerous or stupid things, but I don't remember signing up. And I can just retrace backwards from here to get home, I said confidently. I always did have a good sense of direction. When I was younger, my mother used to guide me through the halls of our house, singing lullabies and telling me stories. At some point, I could move around the house blindfolded. Sometimes my mother would call for me, and I could find her with my eyes closed. But to my horror, I realized I couldn't see more than 3 feet around me. Irene noticed this from the look on my face. Please, Asia, I do not mean you any harm. I just wish to see you back home safely, she said with a warm smile on her face. It reminded me of my mother's. I was 6 years old when she passed away. According to the doctor, she died in her sleep peacefully. I miss her to this day. I hesitantly made up my mind to trust Irene. Okay, so what do we have to do? At this point, the cold was starting to get to me. My fingers were numb and each strand of hair felt like ice against my face. We have to find the first bonfire. There we will recuperate, and I will explain the rest of your journey to you. This will not be easy, Asia, darling, but trust me. I'll see to it that you remain safe, she said without a hint of waver in her voice. I trust you, Irene. I'm ready to go. I wasn't. But anything was better at this point than standing still in the snowstorm. This all felt unreal, and I did have my questions, but my thoughts were just numbed from the cold. Besides, Irene seemed very kind. I felt I could trust her. I also did not have any other option at the moment, as I was, in fact, lost. We turned back around to face the fork, and just then I remembered the first rule. Which way do we go? I asked. Left or right, only 2 choices, yet based on the rules, there was a 50-50 chance that by choosing incorrectly, I'd be met with misfortune. I laminated the thought of doing this alone. We will be taking the left path for reasoning I will explain at the camp. For now, our passcode will be Nightingale. Remember that, Asia, okay? Nightingale. Got it. So, Irene, what happens when someone takes the wrong path? I'm not sure. I've never taken someone down the wrong path, but I was told that doing so would result in a fate worse than hell. Told by who? I asked. That's a question for the camp, dear. We should get moving, Irene said while trudging through the thick snow ahead of me. She did seem rather experienced with walking in snow by the way she moved. We walked along the path for about 5 minutes before Irene came to a sudden halt. "Get down, child," she hissed. Irene came to a low crouch, and I quickly did the same. I could see movement ahead of us, followed by voices. It was a group of about 5 or 6 people, all shouting, "We're lost. Can anybody help us? Please, we lost our way and just want to get home." "We have to help them, Irene. Maybe they can all find our way out together." Irene stayed silent and placed a finger over her mouth for me to do the same. "But," I stammered, "Shush, Asia. Those are no longer people. They are lost." I wanted to press on with the questioning, but I remember one of the rules stating to trust your guide, so I remained quiet until we could no longer hear the cries for help. Irene stood up and beckoned me over. "Irene, what are the lost? Why didn't we help those people?" We continued to walk as Irene explained. "The lost are those that did not listen to their guides. They're long dead, darling, and are ill-fated to wander aimlessly through the blizzard and attempt to draw others to their ranks." Just then we heard a shriek that sent a million chills through my spine. Every primal instinct that has been cultivated and evolved through our species was telling me one thing. "Irene," I said, whimpering slightly, my voice barely above a whisper, but somehow Irene heard me and responded with, "Yes, child, run." So that was the second story, guys, and I absolutely love that one. I'm really, really, really hoping that there will end up being a part 2 to that one that continues on with the story because I am hooked. So I hope you guys enjoyed that story. I will also be linking down in the description below the author's link to this story on Reddit No Sleep, and I really hope you guys take a little bit of time and head over there to check it out and maybe even find some stories that you guys really like as well. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I super enjoyed making it. I know it's different for my channel. But yeah, so I really, really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.